Well, it is odd having the two of you together.
In the past, the competition has stopped us making fights.
It is what it is. You always want the best because you're selfish, what you want for your company.
I didn't want him to win. He didn't want us to win.
What was the thing you got most wrong about Eddie? And Eddie, what did you most get wrong about Frank? I come to you first, Ed. What's it been like working with Frank?
Good. I mean, like, refreshing, I think is a good word. You know, once you get over that first hurdle, and, you know, we had a couple of dinners. It was you know, very,
late nights in Saudi.
Well, yeah, not too late, but, you know, look, George has done a great job. George has kind of been like, almost like the mature one. Like George bringing two naughty boys together in a room and saying, stop it, you two stop, come on. And it was like, we all sort of agreed and went, yes, like, stop it, you know, and just get our nut down to say, guys, come on, we've got such a great opportunity here for boxing and our fighters and our companies. And once you sort of break the seal, it's almost like, actually, we probably should have done this a long time ago, in all honesty, but it's taken His Excellency, who couldn't care less about, you know, he said that on YouTube.
Rivalries.
Yeah, it's just like, guys, come on, let's move the sport forward.
I've got to basically mirror everything that Eddie said. That's how it's been. And George has been the conduit. I mean, they're the same age group, more or less, so they've been talking on a regular basis, and that's been good. And I'm loving it. We're both boxing nuts, and we're delivering good fights. Between us, working with His Excellency and his team, we're putting together something that's really unique and never happened before in the sport. And it's a privilege to be part of it.
When you're sitting around coming up with the fights, coming up with the ideas, I mean, are you two in like a WhatsApp group? Is there an Eddie and Frank WhatsApp group?
Yeah. I experienced it for the first time for the last show in Day of Reckoning. Frank's been at the show before as well. And it was just the most remarkable thing I've ever seen. And, you know, this is not a guy that's saying, oh, you know, guys, tell me what to do and how to bring boxing to Saudi Arabia. He's saying to us, I like this guy, I like that. What about him versus him? And we're looking at the undercards because traditionally we will look at an undercard as a business and say, but all right, guys, that's enough. He wants more. You know, and that's amazing for fight fans.
And he's a boxing nut. Yeah. I mean,
he knows his stuff.
He watches everything. He watches every fight.
I mean, you know, there's fights coming up, British title levels.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great story. We'll tell it. I mean, when it's appropriate, but it was for me one of the most amazing and surreal moments I've had in the.
One of the conversations with His Excellency.
Yeah, it was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant, and it's great for the person involved. He's had a real good touch out of it.
When you talk about maybe we should have done this earlier, how close were we 2 years ago, 3 years ago? Because do you remember in 2020 there was going to be a summer of love, the two of you. It didn't happen.
No.
I got COVID. We never got round to it, and it was like. We almost needed an excuse to do it, but we should have not really needed an excuse to do it. But, you know, you've also got to remember that we've also got a job to do for our broadcasters. Yeah. So Frank's got his stable of talent that he needs to deliver for his broadcaster and vice versa. And historically, it's been very difficult to cross over. This is too big for it not to cross over. Now you've got broadcasters working together, you've got promoters working together. And in the past, the competition has stopped us making fights, but it's also made us very ambitious to do as well as we can.
Bigger and better.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking for. And there's more pressure on us now to deliver for our broadcasters in, you know, the zone as far as Eddie's concerned and me with TNT to deliver to them because they don't want to be left behind.
Now, in the past, Frank, when you had to work with Mickey Duff all those years ago, that wasn't a nice. Let's put it this way: the three of us wouldn't have been sitting down there in a nice conversation.
From my perspective, I just feel that in what we're doing collectively, it's such an exciting thing to be involved in that you want to be involved in it. You don't want to screw it up. We don't want to fall out over some nonsense. Of course, you can fall out in boxing, but boxing's no different than all highly competitive business. You know, it is what it is. You always want the best because you're selfish, what you want for your company. But what we've had to do here is park our egos up a bit, or a lot, and just get on with it.
You do think, you know, I've been promoting on 13 years, obviously Frank a lot longer. Now that we are working together, you do kind of think, actually, it's quite mad that we didn't over that period, you know. But I will go back to the reason that British boxing's in such a good place is because we're competitive, Frank's competitive. I didn't want him to win, he didn't want us to win. So we're both working and growing. And yeah, it's 100%. But I'm not sure that British boxing would be where it was if we didn't have that competition. So, but now I think it's time to evolve and try and take it to the next level. And that's, you know, we're already talking about Queensberry against Matchroom nights, and you know, like there's so many opportunities.
We're going to make those happen. We will make those happen.
And might those be in Britain? I know lots of people are concerned about, you know, everything's going to be in Saudi. I mean, it is quite a concern. So, you know, one of the side effects of this is people want to make sure we're going to get stuff in Britain.
I think there'll be stuff in Britain, but, you know, the good thing about it, you talk about Mickey Duff era, my era, when a fighter suddenly made the big time and really went, you know, wanted to make big money, he went off to the States. They basically went off to New York. Then Vegas happened, they went to Vegas. So they went anyway, but the difference is, you're not going to see them 5, 6 hours behind time. You ain't got to sit up till 5 or 6 in the morning to watch the fight. You're going to get them at prime time. And in the meantime, of course, we're going to still be doing our stuff in the UK and delivering. We've got to build. I mean, all these guys have got to, at the end of the day, are only going to last so long. They're going to retire or they're going to get beat.
So we're looking for the next level.
Of course, and that's how it is. And you know, I'm the old guy out of us all, but you know, him and George, Eddie and George, they're going to move forward doing what they do and developing the future stars. It's brilliant.
But also, without it, we wouldn't be getting them. I don't think we would have got Fury Usyk. I don't think we would have got Bivol Beterbiev. So if you're a fight fan, do you want to see it or not? This is the way you see it.
Yeah.
And, you know, but we have got to work hard for British boxing. And I know that for both of us, it's not a case of cheerio. It's right, you know, business is good for us all. We have to make sure that investment continues for our businesses, the fighters and the broadcasters. Don't think that, you know, we're not under pressure in that respect.
We got contracts, we've got obligations. We have to deliver, otherwise we're in breach of those agreements.
So you've got to keep on putting those fights on.
Correct,
anyway.
yeah.
So let's talk about Francis Ngannou against Anthony Joshua. I'm going to ask you first, Eddie. I'm not sure where you watched Ngannou against Tyson Fury. I watched it from 6 feet away. What was your reaction as you were watching that fight unfold?
I couldn't believe it. You know, I can't remember where I was at the time. I think I was in Mexico. We had a show in Mexico, and everyone was messaging me going, "Are you watching this? Like, he's just dropped him." And because I got it so wrong. I said that, you know, and I've already had a slap on the wrist from His Excellency. You know, it was, for me, I thought it was a mismatch. I thought the fight was a farce. And I was so wrong. You know, I mean, Tyson might have been a little bit below par, but Ngannou comes in as a debutant, and I know he's a stand-up fighter in MMA, but it's not professional boxing. And it is Tyson Fury. He dropped, and he either beat or he nearly beat or whatever. It was a round either. I mean, that's that kind of fight. And, you know, it was unbelievable. And I just didn't believe in any sporting arena that a novice in that field could go in and even compete with the top of the top. Imagine any other sport where someone could just go in with a little bit of experience similar. And I thought he was unbelievable. And the dangerous thing with Francis Ngannou is he really believes. You know, he believed he could beat Fury. And if he believed he could beat Fury then, imagine what he's believing now. You know, we talked about the pros and cons. Now we've got tape of Francis Ngannou. Only 10 rounds.
Does that take away the element of surprise, perhaps?
Well, it must be difficult going in fighting a guy that you've never seen box before. Sure. I mean, you know, the bell goes, you're trying to figure
until the bell went, you didn't even know what, you know, normally MMA fighters are coming out more or less square on. Guys come out, he's shaping up, he's switch hitting. You know, he'd done his homework. And Tyson, you know, he weren't at his best that night. I mean, I'd say how it is, he trained hard for it, but he weren't at his best. But he did all that. And I think for AJ now, I mean, for AJ has everything to lose in this fight. You know, he'd come off a really good win, looked good, done the business in style. He's coming off that win. He's going in with somebody, and he'll be the favourite on the night. I'm sure the bookies are making him the favourite. Having said that, you know the fella can whack. You know, he can punch. So it's going to be interesting to see, you know, how it develops. I want him to win. I want AJ to win. I want him to win because I want to see the fight down the road.
Well, that's different, isn't it? That's different.
Yeah, but him and Tyson and AJ is a fight that we've all been talking about for God knows how long. We all want to see. So of course we want to see him win.
So with regards to Tyson fighting AJ, assuming Tyson gets past Usyk and assuming AJ gets past Ngannou, do you feel that would be a fight that would be pushed and could get made before a potential rematch, before a second fight between Usyk and Fury? What's your gut feeling?
Yeah, I mean, it really hasn't been tactical that we've chose or been given Wallin and now Ngannou, two previous opponents of Tyson Fury. And clearly AJ did a better job against Wallin, but anything can happen on the night. Now, if he goes in and does a job on Ngannou, and I echo what Frank said, I want Tyson Fury to beat Usyk. Love Usyk, but let's be honest, if Fury beats Usyk and AJ deals with Ngannou, you talk about His Excellency being a fight fan. I mean, the world will be just saying, what an opportunity here, the undisputed heavyweight world championship between two Brits, you know, two completely different characters. And now the belief is just starting to pick up momentum on the AJ side, the performance against Wilding, if the performance can be solid against Ngannou. But there's two big asks. I mean, yeah, we're favourite. I think Fury, Usyk's a 50-50, but I want him to win, and that's the plan for us. Is in my mind, we go out. I said we were going to beat Wilding, beat Wilder, beat Fury, and then we all sail into the sunset. But it wasn't Wilder, and that shows you what can happen. You know, we were sitting there thinking, His Excellency, we were announcing the fight in the ring in an hour.
All good to go.
Half an hour ago.
Yeah. But there were going to be upsets, and do you know what? And there'll be bumps in the road, leading up to hopefully getting to where we need to get to. Nothing's with these big men. There is no certainties. The only certainty is if one of those lands on one of their chins, they'll go.
Now, both of you have made big fights, including big heavyweight fights, over the years, without the Saudi backing. And you both know how hard it is to get some of those fights across the line. Sometimes you fail to get the fights across the line. Sometimes you fail to get the fights across the line. For instance, Wilder and Joshua, all those years together, never happened. How many years did you try and get Kawasaki in with Roy Jones, like Bernard Hopkins, for 7 or 8 years? So, bearing in mind the history and the way boxing has traditionally worked, is this just a giant breath of fresh air that the Saudis are there with the backing, with that support? Suddenly we can make fights happen that would never have happened or may never have happened. That must be fantastic as a promoter.
I said earlier, it's like Championship Manager, you know, the computer game where you're sitting there as a
game?
fan. Yeah, but as a fan and saying, oh,
I want him against him.
That, and then, you know, he goes out and makes it happen. The thing that's being most effective here is almost a middleman between two people or promotional companies that might not have got on or might have found it difficult, but it still comes down to money. Out here, there is the premium to make it. And without Saudi Arabia, and you know, again, it's not made, but Bivol Beterbiev is a great example. In Russia, in America, I don't think that fight gets made.
It just wouldn't generate the money, Bivol and Beterbiev. It just wouldn't do it. But it will happen. There's no doubt about that.
Well, it is odd having the two of you together. It is weird, it is odd having the two of you together with your egos parked. So the last question is going to be back to this kind of, this new friendship. I'm going to ask you first, Frank. What was the thing you got most wrong about Eddie? You know, in your mind, you've had 11, 12 years of him doing stuff. You've swapped some fantastic insults. You've just missed each other. What were you most wrong about? Tell the truth, obviously.
I actually think he knows a bit more about boxing than I thought he did.
I've got that written in my back pocket.
I don't mean the business of boxing. I mean boxing.
Yeah. Right. And Eddie, what did you most get wrong about Frank?
Probably. I mean, to be fair, like, don't forget that I grew up. You know, him and my dad were rivals, so I've experienced that in the household. And my dad has always said, you know, you'll love Frank's company. That's the one thing he's always said. You'll love Frank's company. And when we had dinner, you know, it was very pleasant. You know, and like I said, it's just rivalry, but it's because we're competitors, we're winners, we like to win. But I really enjoy it. I love sitting next to my old man, Aram, Frank, when I'm watching boxing, because I've been watching boxing since I was 8, but they've been watching boxing longer. And you know, there was a brilliant moment in the last show where Daniel Dubois' dad, you know, who I think might have won him the fight, by the way, you know, and it was
ratted him in those rounds.
He came in a round,
about 5.
and Daniel was almost looking for him, and he screamed and shouted at him, and he had a good round, and I thought before that round he might be on his way out here, and then you know Frank had the experience to say, go and get him, and sit him here. And so every round he did the same thing, and I think it might have won him the fight. You know, and it was
in the corner.
Yeah, and I found myself cheering for Daniel Dubois. You know, and we love boxing. You know, and you'd love to see British boxers do well. And yeah, I don't know. Like I think how well we get on, and you know, hopefully it'll last. Like I said, it's. You know, I didn't expect. I mean, we come home from Saudi, we ended up having Christmas lunch together. You know, it was amazing.
He pulled me cracker.
Yeah.
On the subject of pulling your cracker, we'll leave it at that, fellas. It's been a delight and a pleasure.
Thank you, Kurt.